No one would have ever expected what ended up happening.
Still right now, I could see that white flash from his gun and just his silhouette.
And all around them, bullets are being shot.
You never think that going to the movies is going to turn into one of the biggest mass shootings in history.
On July 20th, 2012, the city of Aurora faced a nightmare that shocked the nation. A lone gunman opened fire in a crowded movie theater, leaving 12 dead and 70 injured. What would drive a young man with his whole life ahead of him to commit such an unthinkable act of violence? This tragedy would become known as the Aurora theater shooting, one of the deadliest mass shootings in recent American history. Welcome back, True Crime Clues. Today we're exploring the disturbing case of James Holmes. James Holmes was born on December 13, 1987, in the sunny city of San Diego, California. His parents, Robert and Arlene, doted on their firstborn son. Robert worked as a scientist while Arlene was a nurse.
James Holmes was the product of a very brilliant family.
A few years later, the family welcomed a baby girl. The Holmes family lived in the quiet suburb of Oak Hills. As a young boy, James was remembered as being shy and awkward. He had few friends and preferred playing alone. At school, James tended to blend into the background. He was neither a standout student nor a troublemaker. When James turned 12, his father got a new job offer back in San Diego. The family moved to a new neighborhood, closer to the beach. James started at a new middle school, where he struggled to adjust. His social skills deteriorated, and he became more withdrawn.
James tended to isolate.
At night, James claimed he was tormented by visions of nail ghosts that would hammer on his bedroom walls. His concerned parents took him to see a counselor, but the sessions did not seem to help. James sank deeper into isolation. In 6th grade, James began showing signs of depression. At age 11, he attempted suicide, which deeply alarmed his parents. They took James to a psychiatrist who recommended further treatment, but they did not follow up. James kept his struggles hidden from classmates. He graduated middle school and started at a large public high school. There, he faded into the background, neither excelling nor failing. His sister now surpassed him academically and socially. After graduating high school in 2006, James left San Diego to attend UC Riverside. On his own for the first time, he kept mostly to himself. He pursued a bachelor's degree in neuroscience and graduated with highest honors in 2010. James decided to continue his studies by applying to neuroscience doctoral programs. He received a grant package from the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus in Aurora that covered his tuition and living expenses. With glowing recommendation letters, James readily gained acceptance to UC Denver's esteemed PhD program. In the summer of 2011, he relocated to student housing near the medical campus. The rigorous doctoral program proved challenging even for a student of James's intelligence. The once quiet boy from San Diego struggled to keep up. He failed to turn in assignments and skipped classes. At the same time, James's long unaddressed mental health issues resumed. He became consumed with violent, homicidal fantasies. James shared details of wanting to kill others with his assigned campus psychiatrist, Dr. Lynn Fenton. Alarmed by his vivid descriptions, Dr. Fenton broke patient confidentiality. She alerted the campus police about his disturbing thoughts. However, since James had made no specific threats, there was nothing they could do. James's academic troubles came to a head in early 2012 after breaking up with his girlfriend. He failed a key qualifying exam that February and was in the process of withdrawing from the PhD program. Just days after this failure, James took a trip to local sporting goods stores. He purchased the first of 4 guns he would stockpile over the next few months. James also began assembling tactical gear and riot helmets. Over this period, he acquired 3 firearms, over 6,000 rounds of ammunition, explosives, chemicals, and combat accessories. James chose the Century 16 movie theater as his target due to its limited security and large capacity. He planned his attack for the premiere of The Dark Knight Rises, wanting to inflict maximum carnage on the packed auditoriums. James's notebook detailed how he would enter through an emergency exit door and throw gas canisters before opening fire. On July 19th, James finalized his plans by mailing the notebook to Dr. Fenton. He hoped it would arrive too late for anyone to intervene. The next evening, James left his booby-trapped apartment dressed in full tactical gear with weapons in hand. He purchased a movie ticket like any other patron. Once inside Auditorium 9, James propped open the emergency exit. As the movie started, he stepped out and returned armed with gas canisters and guns. James pulled the fire alarm to lure more victims towards his firing zone. He then threw 2 canisters that exploded with smoke and gas. Wielding his AR-15 rifle, he sprayed the fleeing crowd with gunfire. The attack lasted barely a minute, but left devastation in its wake. 10 people were killed instantly, while 2 more died at hospitals. Another 70 victims were injured.
14300 East Alameda Avenue.
453, I have a party shot here. Need rescue hot.
Some grievously. After firing all his ammunition, James calmly walked out the open exit door to his car. He surrendered without resistance to police officers responding behind the theater. The shooter made no effort to flee or resist arrest. Inside James' vehicle, police recovered the gas masks, guns, and ammunition used in the slaughter. They also carefully dismantled explosives rigged around his apartment. The delayed notebook offered few clues into his motivations. James was held without bail as the legal process against him began. He was hospitalized after several suicide attempts while jailed. James underwent numerous psychiatric evaluations to determine if he was mentally fit to stand trial.
Do you need anything? Oxygen.
Legal proceedings against him dragged on over the next 2 years. James's defense team argued he had been in the throes of a psychotic break and unable to tell right from wrong. But prosecutors painted the picture of a man who methodically planned mass murder. Jury selection for James's trial finally began in January 2015. Victims described the slaughter in heartbreaking testimony. After 3 months of proceedings, the case went to the jury on July 15th. They rejected James's insanity plea and found him guilty on all 165 counts. A week later, the jury convened again to decide if he should face the death penalty. Victim impact statements during this phase were emotionally devastating. In Colorado, a death sentence required unanimous jury agreement, which the jurors did not reach. Instead, they sentenced James to 12 consecutive life terms plus 3,218 additional years in prison without parole. There was no chance he would ever walk free again. On August 26th, Judge Carlos Samur formally sentenced James in court. He declared that James had failed to show any remorse for the lives he destroyed. The judge said James would likely kill again if he was ever released from prison.
I am 100% sure that these are just and fair. I want to make it clear that it is the court's intention that the defendant never set foot in free society again. Get the defendant out of my courtroom, please. Thank you.
With the trial concluded, the gunman was transferred to an undisclosed correctional facility. He will spend the rest of his days locked away, likely in solitary confinement. While justice was delivered, the families of his victims will never fully recover from this senseless act. James Holmes remains an enigma. What combination of mental illness, isolation, and anger caused him to commit such horrific violence? We may never fully understand what led this young man down such a dark path. Hit like and subscribe Crime Clues for more mystifying crime.